Welcome to episode number 176 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. I am David Erickson. I'm back. I'm with my co-host, BL Ochman. We're recording live on YouTube on February 24, 2017. Lots of things to talk about as usual. This week, we've got alternate Earths. We've got Trumpless, Twitter timeouts, silly superheroes, let there be journalistic light, learning to leak, live streaming sports, auto sound, fake news promo campaign, and dragon drones. We started off with the best stories of the week, and BL, you kick it off. What was the best story?
Well, the best thing that happened this week was that NASA discovered 7 Earth-sized planets that may actually prove that we're not alone in the universe. And apparently, a few of them might be able to sustain organic life, and there possibly is water on them. And so in describing them, the Robert Frost from NASA said, imagine you're a member of a primitive tribe living on the plains thousands of years ago. You've led a sheltered life, and your comprehension of the universe is defined only by your observations and the observations of your tribe. You strike out on your own across the plains to see what else is there. Imagine seeing your first bird and having your worldview shaken by the realization that there are forms of life that can fly. You continue onward and reach the shore. Imagine seeing your first fish and having your worldview shaken by the realization that there are forms of life that can even swim. And he then goes on and says, we are almost that primitive in our understanding, and we define our life based on our limited observation of our own planet. And all we really know is the observations of life formed on the Earth. And so he says, this is pretty freaking cool. With an admitted slight bit of hyperbole, this is kind of like Darwin first setting his eyes upon the Galapagos. We have found an interesting place to turn our sights upon. We may determine that we can find no signs of life. That would be disappointing, but still immensely valuable because it's more information to enhance our understanding. So Google went nuts, and they had this wonderful Google Doodle, and it led to all this information. And David was telling me before the show, you watched it live on Facebook because it was streamed. What did they stream?
They streamed the press conference. So yeah, I was
Oh.
in the middle of work and saw a notification that NASA was going live on Facebook Live, and so I like, all right, I got to check this out. And then I realized it was the announcement of the of this new solar system. So I'm like, I just dropped everything and watched the whole thing through because it was just compelling as hell.
Oh, it's sure. I mean, when we heard about this when we were kids, we've been always hearing about this all our lives, but people are very blasé about, spaceships and landings and all, what the telescope sees and all of that. And anybody who's blasé about this, boy, you got a problem.
Yeah, well, I grew up reading science fiction as a little
Me
kid.
too.
I devoured science fiction, so space travel is close to my heart. And when I saw that live stream, I couldn't help but drop everything and watch it. But speaking of live streams, we had a little bit of news, Twitter news, live streaming in the news last week. This is from a Drum article on the Drum by Tony Connolly. So Twitter is looking to build on the success of its NFL live streaming deal. You've heard me wax eloquent, and well, not necessarily eloquent, but excited about excited about the Twitter's deal with the NFL and their live streaming of Thursday night games. And I think they just done a bang up job doing it. And coupled two good things. You remember the Reese's commercial, two good tastes that taste great together. Well, that's exactly what this is with NFL and Twitter. So they're looking to build on the success of the NFL live streaming deal. They're looking to partner with the league in a bigger way next season. The chief operating officer, Anthony Nato, said during post-earnings call with analysts that the $10 million deal with the NFL to live stream 10 Thursday night games exceeded their expectations of both revenue and profitability for both them and their partners. So following conclusion of the first season of the partnership, Twitter's global head of sports partnerships, Laura Freilich, said that the live streaming deal with the NFL went incredibly well. The reflecting on the partnership, she said, our hypothesis was we had the ability to instantly explain the value and power of Twitter by having both the game and the conversation around the game all in one place. So their average audience of 3.5 million unique viewers per game watched for this first season, 55% of those being under the age of 25, 25% of the viewers being outside of the U.S., which has to be particularly appealing to the NFL because they want to broaden their reach beyond the United States. There's no new deal between Twitter and the NFL next season, but I am rooting for one because I think it's a fantastic deal for both the NFL and Twitter.
Didn't I read that they're live streaming baseball spring training?
They are doing that. They've got deals with all the major sports leagues, so they're have some deal with all the major sports leagues, so they're doing live streaming. I also though did notice last week that in my Facebook feed, my hometown heroes, Minnesota Twins, had a live Facebook live stream of batting practice. So spring training is the NFL season is over. Now I'm looking forward to the baseball season. They're all in spring training, and hope springs eternal, even for my lowly Twins who were horrible last year. But
well, explain something to me. It's February. I mean, I know it's 70 degrees in New York today, but I was at physical therapy the other day, and there was a baseball game on TV. Why is there a baseball game on TV in February? Who is it?
Because it's spring training, so they're practicing.
They put that on.
It's preseason. Yeah, they put and they all play in the South. So the Twins have Fort Myers, Florida, is where they have their spring training. So they just live stream batting practice. It was something to watch. It's probably pretty boring after you watch it for a while, but really good use of getting your fan base or fans excited about the upcoming season.
Well, I'm not that excited about any sport, but that's me. But one thing that I'm also not excited about is coverage of President 45. And so this past week, Farhad Manjoo in the New York Times wrote about how he tried to ignore Trump news for an entire week and what he learned. And I'm including this here because it has such implications for brands. It's a very long read, and he said, it wasn't my aim to stick my head in the sand. I didn't quit the news. Instead, I spent as much time as I normally do online, which is all my waking hours, and shifted most of my energy to looking for Trump-free zones. And the point is, you cannot find them. And he said, I wanted to see what I could learn about modern news media by looking at how thoroughly 45 had subsumed it. And he said, in one way, my experiment failed. I could find almost no Trump-free part of the press. And he basically says that, he is the Harambe of politics, the undisputed king of all media. And the thing is that he's eclipsed every single human being, apparently, who ever lived. And the reason has as much to do with him and how outrageous he is as how social media amplifies every big story until it swallows the world, the way Harambe did. So, how do we know 45's talked about more than anyone else in the past? There are now more people on the planet who are more connected. So Facebook estimates 3.2 billion people, and they have internet connections. And on most days, 45 to 90% of the news on Twitter and Facebook, and probably yours too, is about 45. But he's not 90% of what's important in the world. And that was the point of this article. On average, people of Earth, this is mind-boggling, spend 8 hours a day consuming media, according to a marketing research firm called Zenith. And so almost by definition, anybody who dominates today's media is going to be read about, talked about, and watched by more people than ever before. And so Manjoo says there's really no easy way out of this mess. But as big as he is, he's 45 is not everything, and it would be kind of nice if the media ecosystem would recognize that. And they sure did have a big opportunity to do that today, when they all could have walked out when the New York Times and CNN were banned from Spicer's press conference, but they didn't. And that's because everybody is so obsessed with the news around the people who are now running our country, what used to be our country.
Well, the cycle is outrageous thing is said, it gets blanket coverage and in-depth coverage, and I've been telling people for a long time, pay attention to the small stories. Don't pay so much attention to the big story that everybody's obsessing about. Pay attention to the stories that are not being that are getting reported, but aren't
not front page news.
Not the news of the day, right? Yeah,
yeah. Like there's a theory.
Those are the things that are not getting noticed.
There's one theory that actually 45 can't read, or is not a very good reader, and doesn't. That's why he signs things that he doesn't know what they say, and he doesn't stick with his speeches. I mean, there are things being reported that we're not hearing a lot about that come from credible sources, and he's creating the news, and I think everybody's falling for it, and I wish they would not.
Well, speaking about major news organizations being banned from the media briefings of the White House, the Washington Post this week came out with a new motto. And it's called "Democracy Dies in Darkness." This is from CNN Reliable Sources newsletter. They noticed that the Washington Post had this new motto, "Democracy Dies in Darkness," that first showed up at the top of the Washington Post section on Snapchat, just beneath the logo. So it's a new rallying cry for real journalism in the area of fake news. Chris Karate is a spokeswoman for the paper. She confirmed that we're going to be seeing more of this slogan. Jeff Bezos used the phrase at a Post event last year, quote, "This is actually something we've said internally for a long time in speaking about our mission," Karate said. "We thought it would be a good, concise value statement that conveys who we are to the many millions of readers who have come to us for the first time over the last year. We started with our newest readers on Snapchat and plan to roll it out on other platforms in the coming weeks. We're good for them."
Well, the Washington Post has been doing a really good job, and so has the New York Times, and I think CNN and CNBC close behind them. So we'll see how this all plays out, but it's not looking good. It's really not. But speaking of surreal, there's an Instagram photographer who goes by the name Hot.Kenobi, and he uses action figures to make this surreal universe. And this is from a Bored Panda story by somebody who calls herself Greta J. And Hot.Kenobi is a Japanese photographer, and what he does is he plays with his action toys, and then he uses photography and video to tell their stories. So his stories range from Hulk smashing a can of soda, or one that I loved is Spider-Man trying to play Captain America's shield on a CD player. He's trying to put it in there, make it play. And they're, colorful, unlikely friends and foes. And they're either engaged in epic battle or single-handedly destroying cans, or, humorously posing next to some everyday object. And they always seem to be a storyline that creates familiarity with the characters and empathy for them. And plus they're hilarious, and they're so well shot. So we'll have links to his Instagram feed, and also to several of the shots I was just telling you about. Really fun.
I love the idea of taking a known iconic image and putting it into a counterintuitive or a unknown context, right? That's always worth a lot of attention.
Here's one that's so funny, where Spider-Man is looking at an iPhone. He's sitting on it and looking at it. Very funny. So, what's your next one? You want me
I'm done with the good stuff. Are we on to?
I got another one. This week, somebody goes by Max. This is from a story in the week. He is running Twitter's Sweden's account on Twitter, and he went on a massive anti-Trump rave, and his name is Max Carlson. And apparently in Sweden, every week somebody new gets to run the Sweden account, and he used his opportunity to unleash on facts at 45. And he said, let's be clear, a lot happened last night in Sweden. This is when Trump was talking about the terrorist attack in Sweden. And so the Twitter account said, let's be clear, a lot happened last night in Sweden. Things happen all the time, just not the things at real Donald Trump is spreading. And some of them are really quite hilarious. And so I will post some of them, and I will shut off my phone right now. Okay. There we go. I thought I was being spied on. Okay, so that was that was my last one. That brings us to bad news, and that was sort of semi-bad news, wasn't it? One of the things that really ticks me off that Facebook is going to do, among the many other things that they do that ticks me off, is that they're now automatically going to play videos with the sound on. Fortunately, according to Kurt Wagner, who had the story in Recode, you can turn it off, but so much for playing. I think they're going to be sorry they did this, because so much for playing Facebook videos at work undetected, because autoplay will soon play with the sound on. And it's an expansion of a test that Facebook started last fall. And this is the most annoying thing, as you scroll through your newsfeed on a mobile device, the sound will fade in and out as you come across videos. And I don't quite understand that, but sound will only play if you've already had the sound turned on for your phone. If your phone's in silent mode, the videos won't play with sound. Duh, they had to tell us that. And you can opt out of the whole thing. And Zuckerberg explained on the company's last earnings call that Facebook wants to be a video destination, not just a feed that also happens to have videos. And they plan to roll this out slowly and hope to do it globally by the end of the year. Susan Creedle, Global Chief Creative Officer for the ad agency FCB, said, this is not in the right place. Never mind.
Well, if you want to be a destination for video, then you need decent search. I'm sorry, but YouTube has got it right. It is the destination for video, and it's because it's on demand, and on demand means people search for what they want when they want it, right? And Facebook doesn't have that figured out.
No, and I just find it so incredibly annoying that the videos are going to play whether I want them to or not. I mean, that's just over the top. But people, what is it? 90% of videos are watched with the sound off. So, if the sound is on Facebook, yeah. So if the sound is automatically going to be on, I think you got a little problem there, Facebook.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be annoying. And there will be a big outcry when it rolls out, and people will eventually adjust to it, because that's what happens with Facebook all the time.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
So mine is, I was telling you, mine could have been, my worst story could have been in good, but it's in worse because of, it's indicative of the times in which we live. I've been paying attention to media professionally for at least 20 years, and have been doing public relations for quite a while, and it is remarkable to me to see this development. But we're starting to see media companies starting to teach people how to leak securely.
Why would they do that?
I have never. Why do you think they do that when you have an administration is clamping down on all kinds, is the most secretive administration we've seen? That's why they do that. So this is from a Neiman Lab article by Laura Hazard Owen, and it explains how to leak documents securely. There's a site called Secure Drop that uses encrypted anonymous communication software that's maintained by the Freedom of Press Foundation, and this is stuff that's used in other countries with authoritarian rulers.
World countries with authoritarian rulers, like ours. Yeah.
They've got full instructions on how to use Secure Drop on the Secure Drop website. The basic steps are: you download and install a Tor browser. The Tor browser, I've actually been using the Tor browser for some time because I'm a developer of websites, and so I'd like to see what how other people experience the web. But the Tor browser routes your browser requests for web pages through a multitude of IP addresses around the world, so it appears your visit is from any other place than it actually is, than your actual location. The
Does
problem
it
with
rotate them?
it just randomly pings off a bunch of different servers, so you don't the end user doesn't know where the request came from. But because it does that, it's awfully slow browsing comparatively. So there's that. But so it instructs you to download the Tor browser, open Tor, and then paste a secure drop address of the news organization you want to reach into the Tor's address bar. These end in a .onion top-level domain. So rather than .com, it's .onion. Then you'll see an option to send a document or check the status of one you've already sent. You're given a secret code name that will serve as your login for Secure Drop. They instruct you to write it down on a piece of paper, or ideally just memorize it so it's not anywhere anybody else can find it. Select the file you want to upload from your computer, type a message along with it, and then check back for replies a couple of days later. News organizations routinely check their Secure Drop web accounts for any messages, so they might respond to it. Leakers shouldn't use their work computers or public computers with Wi-Fi, so Starbucks is not a good place to leak stuff from because it's not secure. So just using this Tor and Secure Drop isn't a perfect solution for security. If you're doing it from your employer's computers, they might notice that you're using the Tor network to access it. So the idea is to distance yourself as much as possible from computers and networks that you might be connected to. In fact, Canada's Globe and Mail has created a how-to video, which we'll link to, of how to do this. The Secure Drop website has an official directory of news organization Tor addresses, and this Neiman Lab article also has a directory of sites as well. So it's out there. Gizmodo, too. I just noticed this last week. Gizmodo was using Facebook advertising to target Trump leakers. This is from a Wall Street Journal article by Lucas Alpert. So the Gizmodo investigative team has taken up buying highly targeted Facebook advertising, driving potential leakers to a website called tellontrump.com. It explains a variety of secure methods to pass on sensitive information. The website reads, "One thing we know about Donald Trump is there's a lot of things Donald Trump doesn't want people to know about. If you reach this page, you might have information about the conduct of Donald Trump or his administration that you'd like people to know about. Here's how you can tell us," the site explains. So Univision owns Gawker. It operates sites like Fusion, Gizmodo, Deadspin, Jezebel. They started running these Facebook advertisements within the last week, and they target people who list certain government agencies as their employers. The ads don't specify they're by Gizmodo, but the website does identify it that way. So they're also working to purchase bus shelter ads near certain government agencies in Washington, D.C., encouraging people to contact them with information about the Trump administration. Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
The fact that that's necessary is the stunning part. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I mean, talking about news, 20th Century Fox had to give a real apology for a fake news campaign that they completely stupidly did for a movie. And so this is from stories in BuzzFeed and the New York Times. And the movie is called A Cure for Wellness. It's playing now. And so what they did was they linked to 5 fake local news sites, and then those sites were spreading hoaxes about vaccinations, about Trump. So the film tells the story of a young guy who follows his CEO to a wellness retreat in Switzerland and then discovers that the treatments they're offering are not what they seem. And so they gave it a big publicity push, including a Super Bowl ad, but it has this more covert campaign that had fake news stories and at least one completely made up company. So BuzzFeed explained that this was happening. And Regency explained that it was about a fake cure that makes people sicker. So the use of the fake news sites was a way of pointing that out. But in these days, you don't do that. So BuzzFeed said the fake local news sites mostly publish hoaxes about topics unrelated to the film. And in some cases, they're fake stories, such as one about Donald Trump implementing a temporary ban on vaccinations. It got picked up by real websites and generated significant engagement on Facebook because people were being fooled. And the biggest hit so far was a fake story about Lady Gaga planning to include a tribute to Muslims during the Super Bowl performance. It got
I remember that. I remember
50,000.
seeing that on my Facebook feed.
Right. It got 50,000 shares, reactions, and comments on Facebook. So on Thursday, 20th Century Fox finally said the digital campaign was inappropriate on every level, especially given the trust we work with to build. We work to build every day. And Nat Ives said in Ad Age, marketers need to keep the truth at least the ideal, not treat it like a toy. And this is where I started to say before, fake news is not a cute or silly subject, is what Susan Creedle, who's the chief creative officer at FCB, said. When you start to tear down media and question what's real and what's not, our democracy is threatened. So the web addresses for the fake news sites, which previously had ads for the movie and talked about its plot in articles on the fake news sites, now redirect people to the film's website. And another article from the site was headlined, "Leaked Lady Gaga Halftime Performance to Feature Muslim Tribute." And that appeared to be the most viral of all. It got 65,000 shares, and it was, really a horrible thing. And despite this is why it's in bad news more than anything. Despite the stunt, A Cure for Wellness, which cost roughly $40 million to make, is expected to fall flat at the box office, and it's got projected weekend sales of under $8 million, which for a movie is nothing. But how stupid. What were they thinking? This is another thing where you wish, like, I would have liked to be at that meeting and hear how they reasoned out that this was a good idea.
Yeah, I'd like to give them benefit of doubt and think that this was in the can for a long time, but
I don't think so. I don't think they deserve any benefit of any
That's a big
doubt
fail.
on
That's a big fail.
Big fail. Do you have more
Well,
bad news,
speaking of fails, so Instagram has a new feature. It is a carousel post, so you can now allegedly. Users and advertisers can create a single post that includes up to 10 photos or videos for your Instagram account. But it's not ready for prime time. I tried 3 times today to create a post. Actually, I tried 4 times. The first 2 times, it crashed while I was curating the photos that I wanted to include in this carousel post. The app just crashed. The other 2 times, I got through the process of curating the photos and clicked share, and it processed, and then failed. Failed.
That's
so I have yet to get a carousel post of Instagram's new feature posted. So nice idea. It'd be nice if it worked.
Yeah, well, a lot of these things don't work at the beginning, and that's because, I don't know, everybody's in such a hurry to be out there that they don't always think about what that means, what that involves. So I think that brings us to shiny new objects.
Nope, one more.
Oh, you got more bad news. Okay, tell us.
This is from a Gizmodo article by Matt Novak. So he asked what happens when power lines get all kinds of trash hanging from them, and it's not safe to send a human up to take the trash off the power lines. Now, it doesn't answer why there would be trash on power lines to begin with, unless maybe you interject the idea that this is from China. So in
no, it could be New York.
Well, lots of pollution. Okay, all right. There's trash in New York
Well,
power
people
lines?
don't know. There's like a crazy thing that people do. They throw sneakers up
Oh
over
yeah, yeah.
wires and stuff
This
like
is
that.
not
That's
that. This is trash.
okay. I don't know what
But
it would
yeah,
be doing
no.
up there.
So in Xiangyang, China, they are sending in the drones. They're sending drones specifically that shoot fire. So they are
Like real
using these
flames?
real flames. They're using these drones shooting electric shooting flames. Um, that they're being used by a power maintenance company in China to get rid of plastic bags and other debris that get caught in places that are hard to reach with a human and a cherry picker. So kind of dragon drones. I'm not sure I'm all down with that. But then think about the fact that, you know, the U.S. military has used drones to target terrorists for a long time now, and terrorists themselves have actually gotten into the drone game. Apparently ISIS is trying to figure out how to deliver chemical weapons via drones. So in the context of that, I guess flame throwing drones aren't that.
Well, I'm, personally not particularly thrilled about the idea of drones delivering packages either. I mean, I thank you very much. I don't mind UPS.
I'd rather have an Amazon delivery than a flame throwing drone, though.
Yeah,
just
well,
just just
exactly. So, okay, so that brings us to shiny new
Yes.
objects. I have one that's kind of an interesting one. It's the Media Math app. It's an advertising calculator for iPhone. It calculates common media formulas like CPM, GRP, ratings, and CPE, so you don't have to, because doing that is not always easy. So it's developed by a former IPG media planner, and it was released about a year ago with 11 different formulas, and you enter any 2 out of 3 values and it calculates the third. And a recent update put in more formulas and a help button that explains the math behind each of the calculations. So that is very helpful if that's part of your job.
Anything that does math for me, I'm in favor
Yeah,
of.
me too.
Absolutely. Yep.
I have to call my
So,
sister who has a master's in economics, ask her about percentages.
did she hang up on you? What?
No.
Again? You're asking me again? So we talked about news organizations teaching people how to leak securely. I figured I might as well talk about secure communications in our shiny new stuff. So here we go. The Tor browser I mentioned. So I don't need to. I already explained that, but you can get that at torproject.org is where you can download it as a secure desktop browser. Firefox has a private mobile browser for the iOS system. So that's something you can use on your Apple phone. And then Signal Messenger is a free encrypted instant messaging and voice calling application for Android and iOS. And you can get that we'll have links for the downloads of that, as well as a how-to from the Electronic Freedom Foundation. So there you go. There's your secure communications set.
Oh my goodness, we need all of this right now, and we better start learning about it because things are not likely to get any better anytime soon.
Well, you know what I mean. Secure communications has been a trend long before the current political situation. So we've been going that way anyway. I think just this
Getting
is
pushed
accelerating. It's
at the
accelerating.
moment where we're getting a big kick in the pants to get smarter quicker.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the daily numbers. I hope
Yeah. So
you have happy numbers, Dave. I'm getting really depressed here.
I don't know whether it's happy or not. We'll see. So this is awareness of emerging technologies among business and IT executives. The emerging technologies that executives are most awareness: 3D printing. Everybody's heard of 3D printing. 78% are aware of that. Drones. How can you not be aware of drones? 71% are aware of drones. Virtual reality. 71% are aware of it. Internet of Things. 68%. That's pretty high. Self-driving vehicles. 63%. Robotics. 61%. Artificial intelligence. 54%. Biometrics, 46%, augmented reality, only 27%, and chatbots, 22%. kind of surprising. What's really surprising is that some of the top, these are all AI, artificial intelligence related technologies, really, because they power a lot of things. Drones, there's artificial intelligence being incorporated in drones. Virtual reality, Internet of Things, there's artificial intelligence. Self-driving vehicles, robotics. Yep.
How could you not? What are the 40% who don't know about robotics doing during the day in their businesses?
There's a high awareness of artificial intelligence, yet some of these things that are really powered by artificial intelligence, there's a low percentage of awareness
How could they not understand?
Right, I know.
Chatbots. They're everywhere. You deal with them all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they don't know. I guess they just think those people they're chatting with are slow.
Or if they're executives, they don't have to
somebody else talking to the chatbot. Right, yep. Exactly. So I think that brings us to the end of episode 176 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And we will have the links to everything we discussed on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com/176. We hope you'll leave us a review there and show us a little love. And you will find David Erickson on Twitter. He is at D. Erickson, and he blogs at both eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog. And both of those are must-reads for me every week, and you ought to take a look because they're always full of good information. I'm BL Ochman. I blog, on Twitter. I am at What's Next. I blog at whatsnextblog.com. I'm on YouTube, and I also am at pawfun.com, my blog for pet lovers. And the show is found at beyondsocialmediashow.com. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show, and we're, of course, on YouTube. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on iTunes, and we're on Stitcher. And we're on Google Play. So in any of those places, you can subscribe to and download all of our episodes and listen at your leisure. Or you can come to our blog and watch the video if you missed us live and get the links to all the stories that we discussed. And we will be back next week. We'll be back on Friday again, special time, and same bat time though, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we thank you for watching and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for watching.